Now we're live?
You know, I'm not sure.
Hello?
I don't know if it's working for some reason. We should be live. Unless I actually went live on the wrong thing. No. If you guys can hear us, let us know.
Can you hear us?
Something's acting up. Something's acting up.
Probably because I got us in trouble. So now there's a vendetta
yeah, we're fine.
to get us.
We are good to go. All right.
Cool. Cool.
Hello, Emily.
Hi, Emily.
Good to see you.
Yes.
All right, very cool.
Okay.
We are good to go. Welcome in, welcome in. Here we go.
Okay, there we go.
Now you can see.
There's a lot happening here.
There is.
We got a big
TV.
from the
Dumpster. You know, our neighbor dumped a bunch of trash because they were moving, and they set this TV out, so we took it. I was just about to get a monitor on Amazon, but this is about the same size. It's a little bit bigger. The resolution is just lower than I want it to be, so I might still get a monitor, but it is nice to have a dedicated thing for our setup, because before we were plugging into that TV over there, and then I was using my iPad, and that was confusing. Unfortunately, very confusing.
Working out well. It kept glitching out of it.
Yeah, it's okay. It's just a lot to set up every time. If we left it the whole time, it'd be fine, but we have a HDMI cord across the whole room.
Your nose is glistening.
My nose is glistening. That's because I just showered.
It's water? It's not sweat?
No, it's probably sweat. I'm pretty warm in here.
Oh, are you?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm very warm.
Do you have some white hot truth to deliver to the spiritual people out there?
You know, I'm not sure. We'll find out. We will find out. Do you want me to turn off the music?
Oh, sure.
Or do you like it?
Over it.
Okay.
Mood change.
Now it's time to get serious.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what I have. I thought you and I were just going to chat.
Privately?
Yeah, that's what you asked me for. And then I was like, well, let me shower so I can think. And then you're like, it's time to go live because you showered, which is a feat these days because I'm the handyman now.
We only go live once a month.
It's not that bad. It's not that bad.
No, I don't know. I mean, I figured we could just make that private chat public.
That's probably true. I'm drawing for the levels of clearance. You can't completely see, but I'm trying to map out what things look like. This is a big brain dump.
Dude's journal.
This is my private journal space.
It'll be worth millions someday, or maybe billions.
Yeah, or maybe dollars someday.
I think it's cool to see inside
the
inner workings of your brain.
We have a mission statement that I wrote on 428. Well, that'll be pretty cool to put out at some point. I would love to put that on the website. I actually like it.
You want to read
I like it? I could, but is that just boring? You've given me a boring complex. So I have to be entertaining all the time. What if I dance while I say the mission statement? What if I stand on my head, do a mukbang while I do the mission statement? Gotta eat something to entertain. Do some ASMR mission statement, version 1.
Oh, sorry.
I forgot about lots of this.
I did give you a boring complex. Huh?
Yeah, that's true.
Boring.
I know. Now I can't write. Now I can't think. Can't be myself in the world. It's all your fault.
Yeah.
This page is called Explaining the Second Paradigm to Jordan Peterson. And I drew a lock with pins on it as an analogy.
I mean, that
I'm a lockpicker these days. Speaking of being a lockpicker, you know what's fucking crazy? I entered a giveaway on a locksmith company and I won, and I knew I won. So I went on their live and I was scrubbing through and trying to find the giveaway, and it was like at a weird point. It was at like minute 20 or something. And I just changed my name. If you were on the live where Miriam was doing her beef liver, I was joking that I was going to change my YouTube handle to Sherlock Picker. And I did, just for fun. So then I went on into this locksmith company, and I entered in the, hashtag lockboss is whatever. That's how you enter the thing. And then they run their software and poll random. And I was the first one. And I knew it. I went on, and he's like, first up, one of our 5 winners is Sherlock Picker. I was like, that's fucking hilarious. I love it.
That's
I
awesome.
love it.
But you don't know what you won.
I think I won $100 worth of whatever I want.
In the world?
On their website. Not in the world. Can I get $100 of $100, please? You just mail me the bill.
That's cool. Congrats.
Yeah, I think that's what I want. I'll have to find the thing. I forget.
Read the small print.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I have a note that I was writing yesterday. There's some pieces in there that I think would be good to talk about.
Okay. Yeah, I have like a general sense of what I want to talk about.
Oh, do you?
Yeah,
Let's start there.
No, it'll all stitch together.
Okay.
It always does.
Yeah, see, the thing is, I don't know where this goes. So I have a thing now.
It's complex.
Yeah. Well, I'm getting a download that I really like to know when messages are coming through, who they are for and where they go before I start writing. And for me, that helps me to understand what like language we're using and like how to articulate things as we go. And
like, how dumb do you dumb it down?
Something like that. But there's also, because all of our language and everything we've ever built stacks. So if you weren't around for like early stuff, like, oh, well, the education phase moves into the etheric education, and from there it's the whole point of spirituality is like that direct access, and then into anchored being and essential radiance, into self-recognition. If you weren't around for that whole thing, those words all mean nothing. So when I'm writing, I can use all of the language that we've built the last 7 years when I'm writing for people who have been around. But if I'm not writing for people who've been around, then the language is a little bit different. That's how I've kind of managed. But I'm no longer getting told where things are going, and that makes me very uncomfortable. Because when I know where things are going, I'm modifying the spacing, I'm thinking about the formatting and the language differently. So now I'm not getting that information. So now I just have this long thing that I was just sitting and writing that I don't even, it's way too long to read. It's not even remotely reasonable to read. Yeah, it's not even, this is boring, as Miriam always tells me.
Well, if you could do it in a voice, maybe, like act it out.
Just act it out for the next hour? You're going to read this for the next hour?
Yes. To keep us engaged. Well, maybe there's different characters
that just come in randomly. Just maybe if you pretend to have like multiple personality disorder, this would be a little bit more fun. Just really let that mental illness shine. Okay. You could be trans for a few paragraphs.
Well, just give us something and then we'll go from there.
Okay, I'll just read the first 3 paragraphs. The first paragraph's a sentence, so it's fine. Yeah. I started with, the problem with spirituality is it makes people naive. As the spiritual worldview becomes their own, they become all-powerful, capable of molding and modifying the world around them to fit their sense of good. To them, their will is the future of our civilization. Paradoxically, they also become perpetually limited and broken. They think if they could perfect themselves beyond an arbitrary threshold of healing, they would unlock their true power. But perfect, in quotes, as it tends to be, is always just over the horizon. So I started there, and I went into money and how money is just an incentive structure, and how this idea of personal power seems to be a smokescreen for how reality actually works. And we've been talking about this actually recently. Yeah, let's just talk about this. we've been talking about this recently because we got a question from Groovy Tulips about manifestation on Miriam's Beef Liver Live. And
That's the most ridiculous.
We do many things when I'm not changing the brakes on our car or pumping
locks.
Utility pits and installing new sump pumps or picking locks as Sherlock Picker on YouTube. We're thinking about manifestation. And it's odd, right? Because the psychic phenomena, like non-physical reality, is undeniable for anyone who's ever thought about non-physical reality. Anyone who's honestly ever taken a look at non-physical reality or spirituality or spiritual experiences, ghosts even, like, weird vibes, energy, chakras, anyone that's ever explored anything has had some experience of non-physical reality. There's obviously something going on, but that idea of personal power is a control mechanism in some ways, but it's a smokescreen and it covers over what's really happening and it makes it all about you. And every time I think about personal power and manifestation, I always think about the abuse victim. Every single time, the dynamic between an abuser and his victim in like domestic violence. And the victim, if it goes on for long enough and it finds their way into their psychology, usually they think it's their fault and they can control whether or not the abuser abuses them by how good they are.
Exactly.
And is it really that different when the universe is our abuser? And when the universe gives us bad things, it's our thoughts. It's what's in our own head. To me, it's an absurd Stockholm syndrome, like very sad way to live life, because it turns reality into an abuser and it makes us the source of every single problem in our life. Yep. And when good things happen, it makes us weirdly like egotistical and we have all of these supreme powers and suddenly there's proof of our spiritual progress. It's either extreme like delusions of grandeur or we're an abuse victim and there's nothing in between and we never look at reality clearly.
Agreed.
But what I'm interested in is what's underneath that, right? Because we have a relationship with reality where we can sort of psychically feel into the timelines. And there's some sort of external force that's bringing us things. There's some sort of external force that's helping to orchestrate circumstances or guiding us to certain things. So we're going to have those synchronistic experiences. We're going to have moments where we feel like something is coming for us that's positive, like a $100 gift card to a locksmith supply company. And we're going to enter that giveaway and we're going to tune into the live and we're going to be the first winner and they're going to say Sherlock Picker, just as an example. But that doesn't mean that my thoughts or my positive thoughts created that. And to me, here's what's so nefarious about it. When I believe that and I start to believe in my own personal power, I never once have the thought of like, oh, thanks God.
Right.
I never once go to, there's an external higher power than me that has an intelligence that I'm interfacing with directly. And that's, I think, the purest representation of reality. I think that's what's actually happening is we have guidance and there's God and then there's plenty of other beings in that non-physical landscape. And we're trying to source guidance from one or two of the sources. That whole thing gets smoke screened when we just think, oh, our thoughts are creating reality. So, when I think about like, if I were someone who wanted to control what's happening here on the planet, the way I would do that looks something like mainstream spirituality.
100%.
And I can't even fully, this is what I was writing. It's like, I can't even fully confirm that that's where things are. Or that's exactly what's happening, where there are people in a dark room drinking scotch, smoking cigars, and talking about the future of the world. And I think it's probably, I think it's probably more non-physical than that too, right? Yeah. Like that there are beings that are involved in this process and there's people that are interfacing with them. And you go back to Babylonian traditions and yada, yada, yada. Yeah. But regardless of whether or not that power structure even exists, we see the evidence of it, right? Like we see that there's this perfect psychological framework built in even to the incentive structures of money and inside of our ideologies that kind of smokescreen and push God aside. And if I were a dark, nefarious being, I'd create exactly what we're in. Yep. Like that needs to mean something. That has to be more than just a data point that we throw away.
I agree.
So that's what I've been thinking about in writing.
It's cool. Yeah, I'm with you, obviously. I think it's all fucking retarded. I think spiritual people are some of the like most duped, naive people ever.
Yeah, it's sad.
Like hashtag spiritual people are just like idiots when it comes to like actual spirituality, and they're floating 6 inches out of their body. They're not engaged with reality. They think their thoughts create. They need their vibe to be just right. They can't talk about anything real. It has to all be positive. If you're talking about something negative, that's not good. You don't want to hear it. Oh, it's not good for me. I can't listen to that song. I can't listen because words are spells, and spells blah 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 blah. It's like, oh my God, you guys, this is ridiculous. They're creating their own imprisonment through a set of rules that was given to them not by God. A set of rules that was given to them by the scotch drinking, cigar smoking, nefarious dark beings.
Yes.
And they don't believe that darkness is real. They think that it's your fear, and you need to not fear the spirits and the whatever the fucks. And it's like, no, that's discernment. That is discernment. There are absolutely demons here running this place. Not only are they running shit, they're embodied in bodies in people. Like, if you can't see that, like, I don't know. Like, I can't help you. If you can't see reality for what it actually is. Because when... the whole thing about... what I talked to you about earlier today on our call. I messaged this woman... She helped me see something a little clearer on Instagram it was like a deeper layer to the bullshit, basically. She was talking about how the headline said, never before seen bird flu. Is that what it is? Bird? Yeah. Never before seen. And she's like, pay attention to the words, never before seen. And she's like, because it doesn't exist. And I'm like, oh, we're probably going to get flagged. Sorry. I already got us in trouble once. We'll just have to go to re-education camp. But anyway, so I don't agree with what I'm saying.
With her opinion.
I definitely don't agree with her. Okay, but anyway, so she says this. So she says, pay attention, essentially. So then, like, shortly after that, I ended up seeing this clip of Trump talking about how everything is fake. But it wasn't like fake news, like the usual, like, tagline scripted saying goes. It was just like, it's all fake. It's all fake. And he kept saying it. And I was like, oh, it is all fake. I mean, we know this, right? Like, it's all made up, entirely made up. Both sides, all sides, every way, up, down, whichever way you want to look at it. We're living inside of a reality that isn't actual reality. I wish people would acknowledge that. But even that is not a concept that people want to be with. So anyway, so I messaged her and I said, hey, thank you. Like, your whole thing about never before seen ended up flagging something for me with this fake. And then what was the next thing? Oh, I said something. I was like, oh, it makes it a little more fun, or something like that. Like, it makes it makes seeing this a little more fun. And then she said something which I can't ever remember because it just infuriated me. You want to pick it up? No?
Mm-mm.
Why?
Because I don't remember.
Oh.
I normally do.
Oh, yeah.
I did earlier.
I figured you had it on lock.
She said that she doesn't believe in darkness.
Okay, here we go. I said, thanks for the insight. It really helped. It was just the nudge I needed. I've been seeing it as all jokes, like making a mockery of us. But to see it as truth, well, their iteration of truth, it's like, oh, this is even more fun. So I'm like, oh yeah, like fake, never before seen. Like, oh, okay. I felt like I was getting a new layer. And you know how, like, when you get a new layer and you translate it to other people, it doesn't fucking matter or make any sense to them? That's what happened to me. And then she said, I see the fakery as benevolent now versus evil, and designed for the purpose of eventually waking us up, because it truly is comical once you're no longer in fear. It's easy to see how silly it all is. So whoever is running the show has a strange sense of humor and is rooting for us to succeed. And I was like, and I started typing out a whole thing, and then I was like, I'm not going to bother. I was like, this is ridiculous.
I want to weave this in somewhere, at some point. I don't even know if this will be it probably will be. I just feel like, I don't feel like spiritual people are stupid. I just feel like they're missing the point of reality because of the worldview is purposefully designed to be limiting.
Well, this gives me no purpose when I read this. I'm like, why am I here then? if there's
yeah,
a benevolent jokester playing tricks on me.
Yes. And if you look at it closely, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. It's like saying that like your captor is actually it's Stockholm syndrome, right? Like that's like it's the exact same thing we were talking about. It's Stockholm syndrome. My abuser is abusing me for my benefit.
Right. Yeah. I know.
And
I don't like that.
And it's weird to say that darkness doesn't exist. All of the bad things that are happening are actually good things because the good guy exists. None of the bad guys exist. The good guy exists, but the good guy is doing bad things to us because it's actually good for us, or because he has a sense of humor. It's so twisted, but it's positive.
I know.
Right?
Yes.
And that's the reason, like that's the foundational premise of the worldview, is it has to be positive. And as long as it checks that box, it doesn't matter if it's logically consistent. It doesn't matter if it even matches what happens in reality. As long as it's positive, that positive belief systems turn out positive thoughts turn out positive reality. Yep. And it's sad. It's sad because it's not how reality works, and all these people end up really confused. Right. But there's this other flip side to it. And it really comes down to the two types of awake people, right? There's spiritually awake. Like when you ask a spiritual person, when did you wake up? You're talking about their kundalini awakening. When you talk to someone who's been exploring the world and conspiracy theories and the truther pocket, or like conservatives that are a little edgy, when you ask them when they woke up, they're talking about when they learned about the psyop or some sort of like medical thing, or when they did research on something. They're talking about something completely different, but they still relate to it as waking up.
Yeah.
And these two pockets, and I remember I channeled a video back in 2020 that was talking about those two types of waking up. And it was funny, we were in Texas, and I don't really remember much of the video other than that. It was like a message for like conspiracy theorists or something like that. And it was talking about those two types of waking up. But it seems like both sides are so compartmentalized in the aspects of reality they've gotten right. And they're limited in the things that they've gotten. They're each limited in the things that the other ones have gotten right. So like spiritual people seem to have a pretty good grasp on like intuitive downloads and synchronicities, and right, like they're at least watching the energy and the vibes, and they know that non-physical reality exists. The truthers think it's people. Right, like so many truth. They're like they're thinking completely physical, and there's like there's actual people that have this bloodline, and they're the ones that are all doing this thing and controlling everything. But my check-in doesn't output that. I don't get that.
I get something way more complex of a system.
Way more. Yeah. That goes back way further, right? It's like, it's odd because it seems like they are both missing very fundamental pieces of the puzzle that put together the way that I see reality, I think now very clearly. Very clearly. And it seems like that limiting is so purposeful, so by design.
100%. Yes.
Because I think about like the movements of theosophy and, anthroposophy, like the Steiner and Madame Blavatsky, and you go back to like the occult, to the early popularization of the occult, where lots of this new age stuff came out of. And lots of those people worked with the UN for the conspiracy theory sides, right? And the UN's a little fishy to some people. But you go back to those roots, and that seems to be like a very specifically crafted public image of spirituality, right? Like, it's not like, hey, we're sharing our latest findings. It's like, here's what we want you to eventually do and become.
Yeah. It's so laid out.
Yes. Yeah, it definitely seems that way.
And I don't think spiritual people are that bright. For the most part, people that are spiritual and people that I'm watching out there and see on the internet, like, it's like, wait, you guys are why? This is a waste of time. What are you doing? Yeah,
but here's the reason why I say I don't think it's a factor of intelligence, is because I used to sound the same when I was a spiritual person.
I know, but it works until it doesn't. And when are they going to get to the place when it doesn't work anymore?
When they realize what we're saying. Like, I think it actually takes quite a bit of intelligence to monitor every single thought you have and to shift it real time. It takes quite a bit of bandwidth to do that. It's just when you look at them from the outside, one, they're playing a character that's not them.
Mm-hmm.
Very obvious. Two, all of their bandwidth is consumed by monitoring themselves to meet an arbitrary standard of perfection. The idea is that they are broken, and when they aren't broken anymore, they'll be able to create everything they want,
Right.
which is often just their adolescent desires. They want a shit ton of money and fame. That's it.
Yeah.
And their pathway to do that is to rip their internal world apart. You give anyone that worldview, it doesn't matter how smart someone is, or how, because smart is just how quickly can you get good at the thing in front of you.
Yeah, that you're supposed to.
If you're smart, it's even worse.
Yeah.
Because you get good at ripping yourself apart to manipulate reality, and you get more and more untethered from actual base reality. Yeah, I don't know how to convey this divide, this like almost compartmentalization. Because on the truther side, there's this element of like, they seem to understand that darkness exists, but they don't understand anything about non-physical reality. Like, it's all so basic and contradictory. It's all like, well, darkness has to tell you what they're doing.
Because karma.
Because the the laws of karma in the universe, and they just repeat these things that they've heard in passing. Like, one person says it, and then everyone they adopt their belief system because it sounds good, and maybe they don't know where to look, but they're consumed by following. I find this so odd. The average truther understands that darkness exists, but spends all of their time trying to predict darkness's next move.
Yes. Yeah.
Which for me is weird, because wouldn't you want to do something different or figure out the mechanics of reality? What makes us our civilization future, right?
That's checkmate. They're done. That's like that girl that exposes all the Freemasonry. It's like, girl, they got you.
Yeah.
Like, this is your whole identity. Your whole identity is exposing fucking 47-degree angles.
Is becoming a news reporter.
Yeah.
For their press team.
Yeah.
Because the only things they're putting out, I mean, we can pretend that darkness has to expose, but they don't.
They don't.
They
There's
don't.
No shot.
Which means the things that the population are receiving generally about, all of the plans for the future and the big resets and collapses and yada yada yada, everything it's all planned, and it's a part of public perception.
Exactly.
And the truthers play a very specific role in disseminating that information, and all they get out of it is, see, I was right. That's all they get.
Yeah.
That's the benefit to them, is being
sales.
right.
Some spook sales.
Sure. They're affiliate commissions.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah. It's sad to me that the most intuitive people are the most ungrounded and disconnected from reality, and the most well-researched people are the most hijacked and consumed for some other agenda. You know what I mean? Like, it's frustrating, because if they both almost shared skill sets, be fine.
I know, but that's like it's like clockwork and like meticulous nature of darkness, and what they've crafted over such a long period of time is to fill all of those pockets and to have preset grooves and scripts and things that would appeal to people like that. Like, they're just playing on archetypes. And then they get people to play in the archetypes, because archetypes are popular, and you want to embody your queen energy, or you want to be the king, or be strong, and you just get all these people to embody these certain archetypes, and there's a whole script and a whole identity and a whole caricature you get to play in that, and then that whole thing's controlled.
Yeah.
But it's like, because the truth is like, you can't be you're not an archetype. You can't be one. Why would you ever want to even be one, or try to be one, or play one for a day?
Yeah.
Like, what is that about?
Yeah. And it's a fundamentally weird paradigm to try to be someone else other than who you actually are to get an outcome.
Right.
Because why? Isn't that the definition of selling your soul?
100%. Sold my soul to the devil for small fry, Krispy Kreme, all my dreams. That's all I got. It's my ditty from 2020. Maybe 2021.
Yeah, it's disappointing to me. I was writing lots of that stuff. That's what that long note that I don't know who or what it's for is. And then my phone died.
And you had a little funeral.
And I had a little funeral. Rolled over, say goodbye, just the usual Tuesday night. Scrolling all night long. So when I had a Patreon, I made that song, which is actually pretty sad, really. That was my musical expression.
My phone died and I had a little funeral. Oh, and then you lost her. I lost a little piece of me.
Oh yeah, my phone died and I lost a little piece of me. Something. I
gotta pee.
Something. I don't even remember.
Scrolling all night long.
Yeah, scrolling all night long. So then I took to once my phone died and I had a little funeral, I went outside to smoke a cigarette in the dark and turned on the light so I could see and started writing.
Did you have your headlamp on?
No, I just turned on the light. What I wrote was, I want to make a logically compelling argument for intuition being a real-time personal connection to God. And that was kind of my,
that's interesting.
That's the thread that I've been feeling is like, how do I get through to these people that honestly are intelligent, but are given a context to think about reality within where their intelligence is misapplied, so it outputs mistruth, right? So like, I want to make a logically compelling argument for people to just fucking trust themselves and understand.
You give people so much, oops, sorry.
That's okay.
So much credit.
I give people so much credit?
Oh yeah. I mean, I just automatically assume they're dumb. I know they're not. I just kind of say that. Just so you know.
Some people are actually unintelligent. I can 100% acknowledge that. But often the most unintelligent people I've ever met, they have that same sense and inner whisper within them. Like cognitive power has fucking nothing to do with it.
That's true.
Nothing to do with
actually,
it.
Yeah.
And often the most intelligent people I've met are the most just blindsided by bullshit. They're layered with obligation and rule sets and characters and strategies for who to be to how to get what they want.
I know anytime we go to like the wealthier towns and everyone's like still wears masks and like drives their electric car and it's like,
yeah, there's an archetype, which weirdly is the same archetype as the average spiritual person. They're like all about sustainability. Like, why are all these spiritual people into sustainability, blockchain, creating vegan? Like, why are they into all of the UN agendas? Why are the UN agendas also spirituality? How does that make sense? Okay, so what I wrote was, I want to make a logically compelling argument for intuition being a real-time personal connection to God. And then I sat and went, okay, there's more than that. So then instead of a period, I made it a comma, and how the structure of our world is not based on that connection. That this is the source of our turmoil and hardship, and that the path to something better starts with the acknowledgement of that inner force. Oh, this is what I was just talking about. Spiritual people are blinded to the reality of darkness and don't know how to use their gifts for actual good. Those who see the darkness don't understand the spiritual world and look to the game masters, in quote. I use the game masters as like the metaphorical game masters, and look to the game masters to predict what made up thing will happen next. We're compartmentalized out of the truth and the solution. We're deceived into passivity and submission. How do I help? And that's this longing inside of me is like, how the fuck do I even help? How do I get through to people who are like through their own will trying to pursue this thing that they 100% believe is true, that they 100% believe is the right track, but has been fed to them.
Yeah.
Like how do you get through to someone like that? And it's the same. I always come back to the abuse victim every single time because it's touchy. Like you can't just go like, hey, Wilma, I know Fred's been beating you a lot recently, but
Pebbles and Bam Bam.
But like for Pebbles and Bam Bam, you really got to get out of there. And it's like, oh, no, everything's been fine. Like we all know that's a touchy situation. And I feel the same with spiritual people. Like I feel the same, like I don't know how to get in there. And I can't, like I almost have to wait for something to go wrong and then just be there for you.
Yep.
You know?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
So that was my question, was how do I help? And what I got back was, that's not the question, David. You're already on track. God is helping. God's the answer to that question. Your real question is what's next? That's how God will utilize your skill sets to help. So then I said, okay, what's next? And they were like, that's the question. Now sit with it and find out, which is funny.
And then the water meter burst, and then you saved the neighborhood.
No, it's a little out of sequence, but that would be a better story. No, then I just went inside and watched my own channel night from this last Tuesday and passed out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's honestly right now where I'm stuck with the second paradigm at large. Is I don't know, and I guess this is probably what we were going to talk about, just you and I, now that our live is done. I don't know how to help, really at all. I used to think I knew how to help. I used to think I knew what I was doing and that I had more control or say in what the world would become than I actually do, and that I had more personal power, I guess, like that my hopes and dreams were actually tied to reality and they weren't just these false utopias I was holding on to, like some promise. If I just become perfect, then I'll, just old remnants of spirituality. Like I'm at this place where I really don't know how to help other than to just do what's here. But I'm having trouble relating to the second paradigm in the same way as I used to. And I don't know where this goes. Like I can feel generally like we can do some videos, we can keep ripping apart these spiritual ideologies, do the same thing we did with, I was going to say Steiner. We didn't even do it. We just did it on the live. We can do Steiner. The same thing we did with the Law of One. We can go into these other really popular ideologies. And I know to some degree it will work and it's going to be a piece of what we're doing. But I just feel like everything is on the table to rework. I feel like everything's on the table. Like all of our structures are on the table to rework. All of our ideologies are on the table to rework. All of the language, the way that we present ourselves, our branding,
I don't know that at all.
That's how I've felt for the past 4 or 5 weeks, maybe longer. What do you mean you don't feel it at all? What do you feel?
Nothing. I feel nothing. No, I just feel like, I don't know. I almost just don't give a fuck. I'm like, well, whatever. People are either going to get it or they're not. Not my job. I don't feel like we need to rework anything. People are either going to resonate with me and how I be online or how I am in person and wonder how. Oh my God, how's Miriam navigating this so well? Her mom just fucking had a stroke and da 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 da. What the hell? She's so calm. I would never be like that in this situation. I don't advertise the second I fucking can't. Because it takes so many steps to even get there. And I am not a bridge builder. Like I said, in one of our biggest fights in Tulum. Remember, I pedaled away so fast because I was like, we were on bikes. I was like, I can't walk people across the bridge. I'm already on the other side and you're either going to join me or you're not. I can't tell you about the bridge. I can't tell you how to get here. That is truly divine intervention. Shit needs to blow up in people's lives before they can even remotely hear what we're fucking saying.
I 100% agree. I 100%
And
agree.
I'm just there with it. I'm there with the whole thing. And if people want to get curious and then click links and then they find our membership or they find our YouTube or whatever, then fine. But I don't know. I don't want to rework anything. I think everything's fine. And if it's I don't care enough. I don't care enough to rework shit. I don't care enough to go back and look and because I see so many people doing the things I did 10 years ago. And I'm like, fuck. But I can't do it. I don't know how to get them here. They're going to have to go through a series of events that's divinely orchestrated. Is there a Q&A? Sure.
You can ask questions.
Yeah, but it better be good.
Hey,
Jeremy. I can't. It feels like it's not my job. And it's not your job. I'm not saying that because it's your job. I think it feels like no. Okay, this is what I would say if we were by ourselves.
Okay. Yeah, fine.
Oh God. I just feel like it's a delay tactic or something. I feel like there's a ton of good shit that you have to say and you don't have to rework shit of the second paradigm. That feels like back end tinkering, da 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 da. Everything's perfect as is for the rest of time. I can stand on that until I die. Nothing needs to be reworked. What's coming through you and what you need to write needs to just come out. And it doesn't matter where it goes. Put it wherever you want. Put it in all the fucking places. It doesn't matter. But like, you don't need to rework things in order for them to reach certain people someday, somewhere. Like, that is so not our job. Like, I think of Chelsea every fucking time with that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she found an old cringeworthy podcast.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then that led to another thing, and that led to another thing, and then da-da-da-da-da. And then she's like, oh yeah, this for sure fucking resonates.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just there.
Mm-hmm.
She's not on social media.
Yeah, just when I sit down, what I get is like stuff like this. What I get is it's all next phase, second paradigm. That is what's coming through. Do you know what I mean? And I guess, like, I don't know.
I don't think it's that detailed. Like, I imagine this, you're going to interpret it and then get behind the computer and
Mm-hmm.
like rework everything, rework the website, rework this, tinker things around, move stuff there, move stuff there. I don't think that's the thing. I think, good, this is for you, poof, keep going. Write whatever you want to write online and post it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This feels like a 1% of importance.
Mm-hmm.
This is why I would say this shit on our walk. And David would be smoking a cigarette.
Mm-hmm.
All right, my love.
Yeah, just thinking. All right, well, let's take a break from that and get to our question. Okay, so I'm a spiritual person who has recently been forced to call bullshit on my own self-deception about evil, and I'm trying to learn about
what it is metaphysically.
What it is metaphysically. Where should I start?
I don't get what that means. David's going to pull up your whole field one moment.
Okay, here's the thing.
Here's the thing, Jeremy. You're in for a real treat.
There's no like book we can recommend because they all suck. I think that's the sad reality. Like if you go to like Barnes and Noble and you look at spirituality and you try to parse through like ancient conceptions of darkness and good, I think our world religions, like the average religious perspective of good and evil, is so cartoonish that it's not useful. And that's my hesitance, honestly, in using words like demons and Satan. They're punchy, which is why you like them.
Love them.
I don't like that they're cartoonish because immediately you picture these like leather-skinned, giant red and black creatures that are physical and in a layer of fire sitting on a throne with like tridents. And that's not how it works. It's not it.
Yeah, but I do see them in people.
Darkness.
Yes.
In people.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Oh yeah. Oh yes. That I
like
agree.
A dark demon creature thing. Like
there's a texture. There's the reality. Then there's the cartoonish image actual cartoons of
right.
long-tailed things that like are they're like physically manifested dark entities, and I think that's cartoonish on purpose to make it absurd. Right. So that's why I don't like most conceptions of darkness and why I stray away from words like demons, even though it's the punchiest and it's probably helpful. I think the best way to think about darkness is to think about what light actually is. And to us here at the second paradigm, we think about light as there's a deep inner connection we have to our intuition when we are at peace. And in peace, we have clarity. And in that clarity can help us to make decisions at very key moments in our lives. And when we follow that guidance, when we're deep in our peace, we follow that guidance, it's always good. And we'll have a bunch of reasons why it's not going to work out, why we won't have the money, why we're going to lose everyone and everything, why everything is going to fall apart suddenly, why we just can't do it just yet. I just need a few more months to put away a little bit of money. And then we have so many cognitive and emotional reasons. Our body flares up in fear, but our guidance is very consistent. When we deny it, shit goes wrong every single time. When we follow it, when we follow that good inside, everything, I've never regretted it once in my entire life.
True.
Ever once. And I've regretted every single time I've denied it. That to us is God. Mm-hmm. Not a cartoonish man in the sky with a beard, not an abuser who sits up and decides whether or not we're good enough for blessings. All of the spiritual concepts are garbage at a certain point because they're too cartoonish and we relate to them like children. And it's sad that we relate to these spiritual concepts like children, like our elders told us a fairy tale and a story, and we didn't pull the metaphor out. We just believed it as fact. We believed in the tooth fairy, we believed in Santa, and now we're waiting for our gifts, and we look out for a fat man with a reindeer flying out, and well, he's out there and he's going to bring us gifts, and one day if we're good little boys, I mean, oh man, I saw some coal coming back from my, from the trip. I think Santa's mad with me. Like, we're relating to spirituality like that because we don't have elders anymore who know the truth anymore, because the elders from their elders got told the truth and then they passed down the fairy tale and then we believed it and we became the elders, right? It's like we lost the reality at some point. So we're left with this cartoonish spirituality. But when I make that inner force God, everything clicks. Because darkness is just the absence of light, right? You hear people say that all the time. That only makes sense to me when I call this light. When I call the truth that's deep within me, it's a connection to something external and obviously not me, obviously more powerful, obviously benevolent, that guides me to good every single step of the way. When I follow that, things go well. When I don't, I slip into darkness. And there are so many reasons here on this planet to slip into darkness, to do anything other than this. So we draw a line that's so much closer than we've ever seen anyone draw, because we say there's your intuition and the thing you're being guided to. Everything else is darkness. And that's why I think, to me, the concepts of darkness that are out there are so confusing, and why I don't like the idea of demons that are possessing us. And just stay away from the Ouija boards and the tarot cards, and you'll be okay. Just burn all of the symbols and you'll be okay. Because those same people go to work at a job that their soul isn't calling them to for the idea of money. That's darkness. They stay in relationships that aren't actually true to what they know, even though their soul longs for them to get out because there's something else for them, and that relationship is just a false perceived sense of safety. That's darkness. There's times where I'm doing a job around here and I want to charge like $50 more, and that's not it. I can't. Or I want to charge less to give someone a good deal and I can't. That's darkness. Like, it's in the tiniest little details, and the more that you build a relationship, we call it a real-time personal relationship, a real-time personal connection to God, but it's a real-time personal connection to our intuition. The more you follow that, the more you start to realize how precise it is, and how we have guidance for every single aspect of our life at every single choice point. We always know. Fear spikes up, we have obligations, we have worries, but if we can settle down into our peace and we know not to make decisions from our manic excitement or from our deep depression spiral, dark night of the soul, when we learn to only make decisions from our peace, when we're calm and we know the truth, everything starts to be smooth. We call that the ideal. That's like the gates of heaven. We can get really metaphorical and make it like very cartoonish. But that's I think the thing that was passed down at some point. If there was ever light here, I think that's what was passed down generation to generation.
Before
and now
the mud floods.
Yeah. You could start there with Tartaria. But at some point we lost the reality that it was always about something that could be experienced. It's not that we just made up something because we didn't want to die. It's that there was a real experience, and older people went, hey, I know you're going to want to like kick and scream and do a bunch of stuff and fulfill all of your adolescent desires. And when you get a little bit older, you're going to get really horny. You're going to want to have sex with everything and everyone. You're going to want to go destroy things. You're going to go take things. You're going to want as much for yourself as possible. You're going to think yourself is so important. If you follow this inner guidance where you know that's not right, you'll be good. That's wisdom. That's truth. And if you learn to follow that, everything will go okay. Now I'm going to tell you stories about people, Job and Moses and all of these I'm going to tell you these old stories that I got told about people who related to this inner whisper, followed it, and it was hard and it wasn't what they thought they should be doing, but still it was the best thing and it was obvious. And if you learn to do this, you'll be okay. And if you fall short or sin, if you deny this inner whisper, things aren't going to go well for you, and eventually you're going to have to learn that. That's to me, that's darkness, and it's the only way I can think about it that actually makes sense. And I've honestly never seen it anywhere.
It's great.
Thanks.
Jamie's still going.
All right, Jamie. Round two.
I love this. This is great.
This is great. Thanks for asking.
Way more fun.
I know. I like this stuff. Okay, Jeremy.
Okay, wait. Before we go to that,
Yeah.
I want to say why I think spiritual people are retarded.
Yes, please.
Is because I want them to get mad at me and be like, "I'm not retarded." Why did Miriam say that? Because I want you to like know who the fuck you are. Because I feel like spiritual people are the most docile, insecure people ever.
Yeah.
And so I want to say something that's like, what? No.
Yeah.
Miriam's rude. It's like, perfect. We're in the right place. You know?
Yeah.
I just want to like get in there and like.
Yeah, there's so many hooks in spiritual people, and it's sad. And most of it, honestly, is modern marketing. And people know how to make a lot of money selling manifestation tips to people, how to be more perfect. People know how to make you feel like you have problems. And those problems are all your problems. And if you can just fix them, just like I've fixed them, your life will be perfect, just like mine. And you'll have as much money as I do by scamming other people too one day. You know, it's like
$7 a pop.
Yeah.
We start at 7 and then we upsell you in the next one.
Yeah, but then the upsell's 147 and then the upsell's 247 and then you get to the real $9,000 mastermind or whatever it is, and then it keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. And the reality is you learn nothing. You learn that you should have trusted yourself at the beginning and not entered your credit card.
And gone to sleep at 3 a.m. instead of scrolling. Okay, ready?
All right, let's go round 2.
Okay. I thought that good intuition led me to helping and loving a narcissist borderline. My love and light can heal them. And now I can't tell if that's intuition you mentioned or trauma. Sorry, I laughed. This is layered. You're like, no shit.
You're like, yeah, I'm here to have some real fucking conversations.
I know.
Let's just get right into it, shall we?
We're like diving deep. Dude, I can't tell you how many narcissistic borderline psychopaths I've been guided to be friends with.
Yeah.
Like, are you fucking kidding me? But like, you have to go into the belly of the beast. Otherwise, you'll never be free from it, and you won't spot it because they're a dime a dozen. They're everywhere, everywhere.
Yeah, and the reason why I chuckled to myself is because I was about to say, and if you're in a spiritual community or have ever lived around a spiritual community, like 9 out of 10 people fit that description.
Yes.
It's the sad reality of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love this conversation. Narcissist BPDs
led me to helping and loving a narcissist borderline. My light and love can heal them.
Oh, they'll suck
and
you
now
dry.
I can't tell if that's intuition you mentioned or trauma. Yeah.
No, it was intuition.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe a sprinkle of both, but
yeah.
I feel.
Yeah. Keep going. I agree.
I agree. It was like a
dash
dash of trauma. Not much,
yes.
though.
Yes.
I feel like that's what TikTok would want you to believe, that it was your trauma.
Yes, because it has to be your problem, right? Because you're a powerful creator and you manifested it and you fucked up. But if you heal that trauma, it'll never happen to you again.
Exactly. Bullshit.
Then you'll be perfect and you'll be a powerful creator and have brilliant relationships, just like all of the people on Instagram. It's I hate it. I hate it.
So yeah, I would say your intuition led you there to see clearly. Like, I feel like that's why David and I have been guided into so many different pockets of so many different people.
So many.
Like,
so many.
Spirituals, I already know.
I already know I'm retarded. Thanks. Realized this recently.
No.
And all the spiritual friends I had hate me for calling out their self-deceptive spiritual narcissism. Yeah, we did the same thing. We did the same thing.
I know.
Yeah.
It did not go over
family, friends, mentors. We burned a lot of bridges.
Emil, yes, I was just thinking of you.
Hey, Emil, good to see you.
Lurker. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Oh my God, I left one narcissist borderline 6 months ago and I already have 3 more knocking on my door.
Yeah.
Yeah, Emil, similar experience too. Yeah. Here's the way I'll answer it. And it's basically, it's the exact same thing that Miriam said. But when I read, I can't tell if that's intuition you mentioned or trauma. I think it's both. And that's the sad reality, is like, we live in a world where our biology is deeply confused. We have no idea where we are, what reality is, what is real.
Are we spinning? Are we not spinning?
The basics. You can get into the basics and get very confused very quickly.
Water above or space?
Yeah. Is it turtles all the way down?
We don't know.
All of our wisdom is gone. And when you live in a world like that, neutral is confused. Neutral's confused, which means It takes a lot. It takes a very high performer to be slightly less confused than the standard of confused. And when you realize that, then you start asking, why would my intuition guide me to these terrible circumstances, to these people?
Yeah.
And the truth is, because when you're a spiritual person, the thing you need to see the most is that darkness is real. And there's no better way than to come face to face with and go, you're different than me. Like, I have my shadows and insecurities, but whatever this is, I could never do what you're doing. I can't bring myself to do that because there's a hard line in here. And I know what's right. And you're crossing that line. How do you not have that line? And you start to realize that people will cross that line to ridiculous degrees for wealth, for fame, for love, for whatever, for the most arbitrary things ever. And when you realize that people are willing to cross that line, but you aren't, it starts to draw a dividing line, and you start to build some shades of gray, right? And you're like, there's a gradient to this. Some things are a little darker than I am. And at some point, those shades of gray start to go away too. And you realize that line's hard. And that's tough, because you have to recognize that there's plenty of things that you've been doing your entire life that are darkness, and you're a product of the system that is baked in darkness. And it's our job, if we want to do anything useful here, to deprogram ourselves from darkness and reprogram ourselves according to that inner force. And if we can do that, we'll be a living embodiment of light in a world that's darkness. And to me, that's where actual purpose comes from. And that's the only way I can make sense of the idea that I chose to come here. Because as a soul, I 100% believe that regardless of whether I got assigned here, I know if I can make decisions here, I can make decisions there. I know that any of us could have been like, no, I don't want to do that. That's crazy. But we had to have seen some glimmer of deep purpose where we go, what you're saying, God, or, the massive choir of light, whatever, right? What you're saying is that I can go and just be myself there, and I'm going to be light in a world that is darkness, and I'll help contribute to your ultimate vision for Earth, where all of these people that are living in darkness but who have light souls will be more free to be the light that they ultimately want to be, and that the world will become more light and good and actually true. And I get to have an actual piece in that, maybe even a very pivotal core piece of that. It's hard to say no to that when you see it that clearly. But we're here, and it's hard to see it that clearly. So we get into these scenarios and we go, okay, well, all the spiritual people are telling me this is my fault. What I don't really feel that way, because I feel like I was guided to it and I did benefit from it. And now I see clearly. But like, is it my fault? And like, is this just going to keep happening over and over and over again until I learn some lesson or heal some trauma? Do I need to go to some healer to have them like deprogram my ancestors? Is it 7 generations back? Is my great grandpa like a terrible person, and I'm still, it's like we get into this pocket where we start to get so disconnected from reality, trying to make sense of how we're broken. But the reality is everything's kind of broken. And when you realize that, but that you have a tether to light, all it is just, it's an open door to possibility, and we can actually have a real impact here. Then those experiences, you go, glad I had it. And it'll never happen again, because now I see clearly.
Not that it'll never happen again. It'll just be another flavor. There'll be like several flavors.
That exact thing will never happen again. Different yes. Yeah.
But there's only so many. Because they're just archetypes. Like there's only so many. And the scripts too before they say them. You're like, oh my God, you sound just like the last girl.
Did you really just say this is so hard for me? That's what the last girl said. That's what my brother said. This
is so hard for me. You just don't understand.
Oh,
that's a classic line.
Yeah.
Classic.
Yeah. Yeah. There are different flavors.
Yeah,
and
but
they're
there's
all
only
compelling
so many.
in different
There's
ways.
Maybe,
Yeah.
It's like a basic bitch spice rack. There's not that many flavors, but
yes,
it is good to see them all.
Yeah, but every once in a while you get that coriander, and you've never had it before, and you're just like, what is this? I'm so interested in this coriander. Oh,
not for long. Right?
Thanks, Jeremy. He says, thank you so much for the insight. I love you both. You're awesome.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Appreciate it. It's good to see you. This is great.
Yeah, you're a GT. You're a good time.
Yeah, I know. Thanks for jumping in. This is cool. I love this stuff.
I know. This is way better. and me just berating into David about.
No, it's fine. It's totally fine. No, I mean, you're right. And I know you're right. But there are still things to work out.
Okay,
and I know that.
That's fair. But that's not at the top.
That's not at the top. Yes.
Of the priority list.
No, I 100% agree.
The priority
I 100%
is you
agree.
writing wherever you need to write. And
I feel that.
And
that's that's my main edge.
Haphazard.
Yeah, it feels haphazard.
Yes.
Because I don't know where it goes or who it's for. Yeah. But I do notice the language changing, and I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's simplifying. Everything's simplifying a lot. And in a way, I just see it as we've become, I mean, really this last year, so much more grounded and so much more engaged with reality. Like you're doing stuff with the HOA. I'm randomly the handyman here for the whole complex. I'm a channel, like this is.
No one knows.
Yeah. But like they call on me when the water meters explode and water's gushing everywhere. They're like, we got an emergency. And I'm like, all right, I'll be right there. I'll go get the sump pump and drain it out and turn off the meter and then call the water company. Like I'm handling weird. That's true. She calls the water company, but we're like handling these like very physical on the ground circumstances. And this is the weird thing, right? It's like we've felt guided into this, and it's a clusterfuck. It's not the situation here is not great from a management perspective or from a like long-term sustainability perspective. Or there's lots of things that internally that same inner compass feels so off, and we feel called to help this complex of like 100, just under 150 units. We feel called to engage with it and to create real change here. And it's where we live, which is good. I mean, we're making our lives better, but we're also learning all of these little lessons along the way about how to engage with reality. And I'm having to personally detach from so much control over how I think this thing needs to go. Like I recognize that all of this retardation needs to be thoroughly worked out of my system so that I can just be a clean channel for God. I can be a clean channel for everything that's meant to come through me. And that takes time. And I need to be able to understand the depths of the confusion and the inefficiency of all of the systems here and where we're actually at. And I'm learning that by the maintenance plans and the way people relate to things and how they get scared and put their head in a hole. And there's so many elements of human psychology that we're gleaning from this that helps us with this work that we're learning from the exploding water meters. Yeah. I guess that comes back to that journal thing, right? It's like more than anything, my psychology right now wants to know, how do I help? What do I need to do? What do I need to plug in to? How do I rework everything? Right. And it's extreme. I know that.
Well, and it's weird too, because at least in this instance, in every instance, really, it's like, so there's a board, there's 7 of us. I'm on the board. David's not on the board. And like, it comes down to a majority vote. Things come down to, and are people even responding? Are people even voting? What are they voting? And are they voting with all the information? Are they voting because they're scared, so they're voting a particular way that isn't actually here or beneficial or makes any fucking sense? And like, it's just, it delays things. It's like,
it's a macrocosm of what we're ultimately dealing with,
right? Because you can feel something to be so true as a spiritual person, and then it's like not playing out that way at all, because all these other people are involved and they don't have the access that you do. But then in a year or like 2 years or 3 years, they do the thing, and it's like, oh,
and it takes a while.
Yes.
But you're guided to plant seeds in the perfect time, and slowly things happen. We had a whole situation where I was trying to help and step in as the maintenance guy because I felt called to, and there was this whole debacle where they were putting up red tape that didn't actually exist. They were saying like, yeah, you can't because we have our procedures and it's not right, and you need to get workers' comp for employees you don't have, and it was this whole thing. And I was like, I don't need to do that. And they were like, well, you need to because here's the reasons. And I was like, those aren't real reasons. Here's why. And I, did all this research, all the legal research and all of the insurance research. And I came to this place where I started to realize that exactly what you were talking about. Like you're 1 in 7 on that board.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter how clearly you see things. It doesn't matter how clear your connection is to the ideal, to God, to a vision for what's ultimately true and good and light and all of the possibility. It doesn't matter how tethered you are if you're 1 in 7.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty good odds. Most of the time it's not 1 in 7. It's 1 in 100,000, 1 in a million, 1 in 10 million.
I think the population total is a lie, by the way.
I know you do, but I'm just, that's why I kept it small.
Okay. There's not 7
questions
billion
everything.
Here.
Questions everything.
Prove me wrong. You can't. Okay.
Yeah, it's hard to tell how many people are on the disc, on the frisbee. But when you have such a small say in physical reality, you get to this place, and it's that same place that I'm hitting now, which is like, how do I help? Like I feel powerless, and unless you realize that the thing you're connected to, it's not our subconscious. It's not, there's a deep innate wisdom in my DNA. It's like it's God. And that's why, to me, that word is so important, because there's a potency and a power in it. Mm-hmm. In the same way that to you, demons is important because there's a punchiness to it, where it's like, where you go, ooh, I don't want anything to do with it. Uh-huh. But you hear God and you go, ooh, like, okay, yeah. that's serious. Like, we're getting in serious sacred territory, and there's no other word that does it. Universal, who cares? Who cares if you defy or don't? Yeah, who cares? But you hear God and you go, okay, that might be a little bit triggering, but it's important, and I can see that it's important. But when you have that innate connection to God, and you know that it's an actual higher intelligence that's benevolent, that's been guiding everyone and everything forever through everything, and has the capability to guide you through anything, and it's simple, and the guidance shows up every single time at the exact same moment. There's this man, I just wish that people could see what I have access to. Like, I wish that I could convey to, like, no, you don't understand. Like, God told me, you sound crazy. God told me that David needs to be the maintenance man. Like, you need to, and they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? This makes no sense. You wish you could just kind of shake
put
people.
This on my heart.
Yes, God, put this on my heart, please. Just let the Holy Spirit compel you to see the truth. That's obviously not going to work. And we hit this point where I was like, I have no say here. And it's weird because it feels like God has no say here. Because these people who are all disconnected from God are the ones making decisions. And on the macrocosm, it's the same. All of these people it's very clear that they're willing to cross a line I'm not. And that line for me is, I'm going to stay tethered to God. Mm-hmm. I'm going to stay tethered to what I know to be light and true. I value light over everything. And it's an experience. It's not some arbitrary rule set.
Yep.
When you realize that there's more darkness operating here, they might be light souls, but they're operating in darkness. Mm-hmm. When you realize there's more darkness operating here than light, it's like, how God's not making the decision for what happens here. This isn't a dictatorship, obviously. Look where we live. This isn't a product of God. This isn't a product of good. This isn't what we feel in our hearts is possible. People decide this. Mm-hmm. And we have a collective decision-making system that over time outputs reality. And we end up living in the cumulative decisions of all of us, whether that's God or not. That seems to be what physical reality is. And there's something disheartening about that. And for maybe a week, I was bummed. So I was like, I have no say here. God has no say here. Why the fuck am I even here? What is this? Then the day after I'm like in the slump thinking about this, a water meter explodes. There's an emergency, and I'm the only one that can do something. And my hands are tied. And I go, listen, I can't do this because they won't let me work. But I knew so much about the insurance policies that I repeated back to the president. I was like, no, hold on. I know your workers' comp policy. If I tell you what to do and you volunteer, you're covered as the board, so then you can drop in the pump. And then we sat there with the president. We talked about the whole thing, and then the whole situation turned, and everyone went on my side, and then everything was fixed. And it was what? Why'd you point up your finger like that?
Because then there was the incident where the property management company assigned you a task, even though she didn't approve you.
Yes, but I shortened it a little bit, condensed it. But a series of circumstances played out where people saw the thing that we were pulling the entire time, and it was obvious. Mm-hmm. And it took some while for reality to catch up. But it's like I started to realize that, like, divinity doesn't have control over people's decisions, but divinity is going to hold people to the fire. and guide us. And if we're on the ground floor and we have the power to articulate to people truth, that actually does something. That's real.
Yeah, and during an existential crisis.
During a crisis that it was so timely. And that's where, I mean, reality doesn't make me cry ever, but I walked away from an exploding pump tearing up because of how unbelievable it was. Like, I was so in the dumps, like this, like I can feel what is good here and I'm doing everything I can to make it happen. And it's nothing. I have no power here. I can't do anything. And then a meter explodes and everything starts flowing again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the divinity has the power to kind of craft these circumstances in such a way and utilize us in such a way that light can make it here. And that's where you start to see people's glimmers of light, where you go, oh, all you need to make a decision that you know to be true is to know that your obligation isn't real. You just need to know that the thing you're afraid of isn't real or isn't a problem. And if I can just articulate to you that this isn't a problem, everything's fine. And you start to learn how to relate to people who are stuck, imprisoned in darkness, and how to get their light inside of them to operate in accordance with the light that they also have a connection to. And it's a different skill set.
Yes. And then it's interesting to watch people connect dots on their own too.
Yep.
They're like, wait, we're being taken advantage of. It's like, yes.
Yeah. Yes, you are.
Yes, we are. Yes. This is what I said last year.
Yep.
This is what I said last year, and everyone scoffed at me.
Yep. And the moment they come to that conclusion, you're right there and you're affirming it and you go, yep, because this, and you're reinforcing the truth.
I know. And now a thing I said last year got said at a recent meeting, word for word, and I was like, I almost hit my counterpart under the table, but I didn't because, didn't want to make it obvious. But I was like, oh my God, it's clicking.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I guess that's what's odd, right? About like, how do you learn about what darkness is metaphysically? Like, where should you start, right? Going back to that first question, Jeremy.
Bro, you dated all those fucking four bags. I think you got it. I think you've learned about darkness.
Yeah. But it's like, it's everywhere. And it's tough that it's everywhere.
Another thing too about narcissism and BPD, like that shit goes places here. Like that's
it
praised.
Works here.
Yeah, it's very,
because the systems are built for it. Yeah, all the incentive structures praise and incentivize narcissism.
Yeah, 100%. So it's like dime a dozen.
Yeah.
Or in your case, 3 dimes. 3 dimes a dozen.
A dime 6 months ago and 3 dimes knocking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's cool. This is a good conversation. What else are you thinking?
Oh, I was on a
You got on a new kick.
No, I was on a thread and then you wanted to talk about the dimes.
Blame you. Blame me, I mean.
Yeah, I'm blaming you. No, it's just interesting that darkness is literally everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, and it works here. It works really well here.
Yeah.
The crazy thing is I saw so much beauty in them before the darkness surfaced. I'm so confused about whether they even have souls, light sometimes.
Souls or light sometimes.
You and me both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I know.
It's such tricky energy.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's like glimmers, but are those glimmers real? Are they like real glimmers, or is it like a demon trying to like, lipstick on a pig kind of thing?
Yeah, like a generated light.
Ugh. Yeah. Barf.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
I know. Interesting.
My heart is like.
Yeah. One of the things, it's funny that this is a realization because we've been teaching like reality context, like a way to view reality for a long time that maps with this perfectly, but for some reason it was still a revelation maybe like a year, 2 years ago, where I was having a conversation with the Being I channel, and we were talking back and forth, and there was something that came through about dark souls. I was like, dark souls? Like, what does that even mean? And since that time, and it makes so much sense. Like, I know that there are non-physical beings that are dark that aren't operating with that intelligence that I feel that's light, that's God. It's very obvious. Like, I think we've all at some point had encounters with that, like, slithery, sneaky, weird energy, non-physically and physically, right? And it makes sense that these are individual souls that just aren't connected to divinity. And it makes sense that there would be dark souls. They're just souls, not in bodies, that aren't connected to divinity. And that there would be dark souls, souls that aren't connected to divinity here. And it's weird starting to parse through it, because it starts to become clearer and clearer, right? Like, where it gets confusing is there are people that are genuinely light that are operating in darkness because they think they have to, and because their psychology is bound into it. It's like, it's inseparable.
It's like it's a safety and security thing. It's very basic.
Yep. And then there are actual dark souls that are embodied here, where they're not doing it out of obligation. It's their actual paradigm all the way through as a soul. And if they weren't in this body, they'd be still doing the same things. Like, I think most people here are light, stuck and bound in. And those are the most people that you meet on the daily basis, where you go, man, like, it's like, that's stuck. That's hard.
Yeah.
Suck. I would not trade lives with you. This is very difficult. Like, that's light stuck inside of obligation, or the pursuit of perceived desires that are fed to you, desires for either material or emotional desires. You're going to feel great all the time if you just do A, B, C, D. Yep, you're going to have all of these things in a mansion and all yada yada yada. If you just do A, B, C, D, there's the pursuit of desires or obligation, and it just binds people into this weird, we call it the hive mind or the core three. It binds people into this really odd place where they're operating in darkness, but they themselves are in light, and it's perpetual pain constantly. That's where I think most people are. And at some point I had to realize, it's with family, some point I had to realize it almost doesn't matter whether their soul at its core is light or dark if the way that they're interacting with me is as darkness.
Right.
Whether they feel bound to the darkness or whether they are darkness at their core, it kind of doesn't matter. If I at the end of the day can't change it. Like, we know that, like, it takes a lot for someone to wake up, for someone who's light, who's stuck, to break free and go, there has to be more to life than this, and then long crisis, and then from there go through this massive, I'm learning everything and I'm overwhelmed and I don't even know what reality is, to then, oh, there's intuition inside of me and I can follow this. And so that's so long. There's no way we can just sit down and facilitate that for someone. We just can't. That's between them and God, ultimately. And the truth is, there's already circumstances that are crushing in on all of their limitations to make them pop, to help them to get through it. But if we can't help, and they're interacting with us as darkness, what are we doing? Is it really, like, do we really even need to figure it out at the end of the day?
They'll suck you dry. Not in a good way.
Is the light, the borderline narcissist show, a real thing or an act? It's hard to reconcile that the extreme highs and lows can come from the same person.
I know. Wow, jinx.
I know.
See, we got a jinx.
I know. Oh, wow, jinx. That's funny. That's funny. Jeremy, how many of them have had extreme victim mentality? That's part of the narcissist script.
Yes. Woe is me.
Bia said that darkness still has no direct access to Earth. I've thought that might mean that there are no dark souls that are actually in bodies. I don't think so. So if you're not here, you don't have direct access to the collective field, but that's all like kind of deep nuance. There's no external access to, like, our collective consciousness, I guess is the other way to say it, right? Where's Ben? Oh, hello. What's up?
I'm just wondering.
Are you the Ben Weston from the Ben Weston Show?
Oh my God. Were you on Reddit earlier? Vigorously masturbating. Just need to know. For my daily vlog.
Oh, man.
They're going to think we're crazy.
Yeah, is the light that they show a real thing or an act? Okay.
It's an act.
Yeah, I think that's the easiest way to put it. There are other motivations in their psychology. So I found it interesting, right? I had family. I guess still have family technically, but I would talk to him, and I would start to see glimpses of his psychology and the things that made him tick. And one
Gotcha.
One of those things was essentially like wanting to be like rich and famous and praised and seen, and like it's a piece of narcissism, that kind of like rampant insecurity, and it's weird. It's odd because it's so out of character from the script and the way they act. But it seems like there's some sort of inner motivation that they're driving for, and in order to get that, they're okay with controlling the perception of other people. I think that's about as close as I got. They're fine with having other people believe what they want about them. So they're used to manipulating your perception of them to get what they want. I think that's the main pathway that I saw for the narcissist. The BPD is a little bit different. But that narcissist thread, it's all about image preservation and crafting the perfect image to get what they want. And they end up very good at it, which is why they do succeed, because so much of marketing and business is crafting an image, is branding, right? But they're constantly branding themselves to everyone around them. And it takes a lot to get into the inner circle where you see behind the branding. And even there's not much. There's not much. Because at the core, that building of their personal brand to get what they want in life is at the core of their motivations. Like there's this material or this emotional drive, and they're just chasing it endlessly, and they're okay with manipulating you, manipulating everyone else to get that. And it's weird to think that could be someone's psychology. Because to me, I kind of don't give a fuck. Ultimately, whether we're rich and famous or whether like this work gets out, like I want it to get out to help people, but it's weird that people want things to get out for all the things that they can get. Like that's mind-boggling to me that's the core motivation. One day I'll finally have what I deserve. Like it's weird to me that someone's psychology can even work like that. But when I start thinking of it, I know. When I start thinking of their experience from that lens, things start to slot much better. It starts to make more sense. So it's weird, right? Is it a real thing or an act? It's like, it's kind of an act, but the act is the real thing. Like that's all there is. It is the act. The act is the strategy. That's the whole of the psychology, is if I put on an act in the right way, then I will get this output. And it's like the willingness to give up the truth of who they are to play this thing, that in of itself is kind of sad. But it's manipulative, right? And like when you're around it, you become a constant like victim of gaslighting, and it's hard to even know what's reality anymore.
True. Wait, before we go to Jeremy's next block of text,
yeah,
is that a middle finger that Ben gave me?
Yeah, I think so. Right here, right?
We might need to, or is it just the up finger? Because I gave him the middle finger back.
Oh, that's it. No, so definitely a middle finger.
Oh, okay,
definitely
good.
A middle
you
finger.
were on the same page. I felt like we were in class. You were like teaching, and I'm flipping Ben off.
Oh,
but
that's funny.
He flipped me off first.
Oh, wait, that was Groovy Tulips that said how many of them had extreme victim mentality. What's up?
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought it was a meal double.
Oh, no. You even read it as Groovy Tulips, I think.
No way.
I think so.
That's wild.
Definitely middle finger. Okay, Ben. Okay. I figured.
Okay, yeah. Jeremy says, Groovy, ironically, they were all genuinely victimized, but in such denial that they would deny it had any effect on them. Yeah, image preservation. They wouldn't play the victim overtly, but they would act it and feel internally. Yeah.
I know. Well, it's the BPD specifically. Those girls are fucking psychos.
Yeah.
It's way deeper than narcissism stuff. Narcs are more of like, it's more of a dude thing. And BPD.
That's true.
BPD is more of a dime thing.
Although the covert narcissist tends to also be a female thing. Right? We've also seen that. Like there's a lot of different behaviors There's a lot of different ways for it to express itself, and a lot of different motivations at the core of it too, right? It's hard to generalize.
Well, even thinking about my mom, who's in rehab because she had a stroke. It's like fucking crazy.
Yeah.
But she's been such a bear up until, for years. Yeah. But she presents so nice and friendly and upbeat to other people.
Yeah, externally.
And like they call her and she's like, "Hi, how are you?" And then she gets off the phone and she's like grumpy and rolling her eyes and like just like always like side-eyeing and like sighing and scoffing. And now she's in rehab and she's like as happy as can be, making a miraculous recovery, which to me, I'm like, dude, this is another fucking opening from God. I don't know why you get so many chances. Like, what the fuck? Because she already had a huge stroke in 2011, which is what started waking me up. And then now she just had another mini stroke, brain bleed in the base of her skull, which I think it should have killed her. I mean,
it seemed like it was going to.
But it didn't. It fucking didn't.
Yeah,
and now she's like so happy, but I'm like skeptical because it's honestly, I was texting my neighbor about it today. I was like, it's a little disorienting because I'm like waiting for the grump to come back. I'm waiting for that because I still can see it. I can see there's an entity that lives inside of her, at least one, and she knows about it and she doesn't want to get rid of it. She doesn't know who she'd be without it or them.
Her words.
Yeah. It's either an it or a them. I don't remember.
Her.
I don't know who I'd be without. No, she didn't say her.
She has said her before.
Oh, yeah.
But first it was them, because there are multiple, but maybe the primaries are her.
Yeah. And like that shit's weird, you know? When people are like, darkness isn't real, I'm like, you want to come over? You want to come spend a week? Because it...
Jeremy, can you talk or ram more about BPD's psychodimes?
Suits my soul. I could listen for 10 hours.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Amazing. Where did you come from?
I know, this is fun.
Okay, where do you live? How old are you? Too soon.
We know about your exes, but not much about you.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's crazy. It's so weird with today specifically. Like my mom was so happy and like laughing and giggling, and I'm like, because it's like, how long is this gonna last? Is this even real? Is this her? Like, is she actually my mom, or is she like playing a character?
Yeah,
like it's so fucking disorienting.
And it's tough because she wants to come home. Right.
So there's incentive.
There's incentive for her to present as good as possible, so that you'll advocate for her to come home as quickly as possible. Right. There's like,
which I'm not doing. I told her, I was like, Mom, you're getting such amazing care. I don't feel like I have to stick up for you at all. 15. Oh, that's awesome. We got a tranny in the house. That's so good. I love it. Oh my God.
Can you talk rant more about BPD?
Well, I was going to say, I imagine you're over the age of, you're probably 30 over the age of 30.
Yeah.
If you're doing ASL. What was your first screen name?
What was your AIM chat? I was Yoda 3000. I was Mermorm. Funny. That's cute.
My dad made it.
That's cute.
And he made friends for me, which how weird is that? He's like, I made friends for you in the chat room. So when I got to his house that summer, I had already had like friends that I could chat with.
Wait, that's so weird.
Yeah.
Like he's sitting there and just typing?
As like a 10-year-old girl or whatever.
Wow. Wow. But I mean, maybe they were 40-year-old men too.
So weird. I know. I've never said that out loud before.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Explains a lot. The trauma. Okay, talk more about BPD.
Okay, we did this, we call them topic talks. We did these like little like, it was like noteworthy discussions on focused topics or something like that. Focused discussions on noteworthy topics. And one of them was called The Energetics of Narcissism. And we talked a lot about this stuff. But the main takeaway, we had this conversation with a psychologist that was a friend at the time. And we were trying to zero in. We're like, what is this? Like, what's happening with my family member? Or, you know, what is this behavior? Like,
she wasn't actually crazy.
I just do not understand. And she goes, you know, it's tough because you can get into all the diagnoses and all the things, but it's so complicated. She's like, what I found is there's just, when you meet one, you just know, you can feel it. And we both just sat there. And we just started kind of staring off into the distance and feeling into it. And we slowly just started zeroing in of like, you know, there's a texture. And she was like, so they tend to, at the very beginning, be very friendly. They want to be your best friend. They shower you in praise. But then all the conditions start coming out. Not their mental conditions, but the conditions on who you have to be in order to maintain them. Mm-hmm. And it makes their mood a function of your good behavior. Mm-hmm. And at the base of it, right, is like, I can't be loved for who I actually am, and that's a wound, and that's so hard. So I'm going to present whatever people want, and then slowly present myself to them. It's another like kind of weird insecurity thing, but I'm going to slowly present who I am, and then see if they still like me. But it's so graspy. And when you're like, wait, what happened? Why are you just changing out of nowhere? Then they start to get angry. And that's when the claws come out and they go, you don't love me for who I actually am. And, you know, then then it's like, there's something like, what was I duped? Like, who are you even? That's the way I think of BPD, is as overly friendly. Oh my God, you guys. And we've had clients that have very similar personalities, and it's like, you guys are the best, and I love you guys, and it's so amazing. Just like you said earlier, Jerry.
I know. You said you loved us. I was
you
like,
said you love us.
Too soon.
Well, but we've had people like, oh my God, you guys are amazing. It's so, and they start following everything, and they're on it, and it's amazing, and then it starts to fizzle out a little bit. And then they start to get a little bit crazy, and then they start to make more demands of us, and it slowly devolves. But it's the same.
And then they want to move to Seattle, and
then they want to move to wherever you live to be closer by you. You know, I was thinking, where do you live again?
Hit.
Oh yeah, I was thinking of coming to Seattle. Like, oh, we're gonna move. Oh, you know, I was thinking of moving there too. And you're like, wait, what is going on here?
Oh, no.
But yeah, I think it's I guess similar to narcissism, funny enough, because it's about presenting that image. But the narcissist wants to maintain the image, and I think the BPD wants to ultimately, at the core, they want to be accepted for who they are, and they want to present the image, hook you, and then lure you in to who they actually are, one demand at a time, until you finally love them and they can be validated for the person they are at the core. I think it's something like that. But the behaviors are a hard way to spot it. The easiest way is you start to feel
it's
it.
The energetic thread.
The energetic thread.
I know, when this woman was saying it, I remember like the way that I saw it. This is a weird description, but I think we talked about the energetic thread. I think. Yeah, we did. Because that's how I saw it come in, and it was like stacks of paper. Each stack of paper was a different person. And so the paper was like laid out differently, if this makes sense. It wasn't like a cohesive, nice little tight stack. It was like kind of in disarray, but still stacked. But there was a thread that ran through every single person. And I was like, oh. And then it connected people that I hadn't even thought of, but it made sense later. I was like, that's that. That's that thread.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. We were talking to our neighbor about some of this.
Jeremy, I like that you have an air of mystery. You're a 15-year-old female. So open and honest with everything else.
I'm assuming not Cali. 35 male Montana. But we were talking to our neighbor about the same thing. And she was like, you know what? I don't know that I've ever met someone like that. And we started describing some people around here, and she was like, you know what? I felt that something was weird, and I just kind of keep my distance. And we were like, yeah, that's it. They're those people. But when you actually get in relationship with them, or you have a closer friendship with them, that's where all the weirdness comes out. And it's funny that some people seem to just have that sniffer from the beginning, and they just never have those dynamics.
Right.
I mean, she's a 70-year-old woman.
Yeah, over.
And the fact that she's never experienced those dynamics, it's fascinating. Fascinating. Canada.
How old?
31.
In Canada.
Vancouver.
In Vancouver.
Wow. Wow.
That's awesome. See? 30. New Year over 30. 31.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. That's good. Sometimes I like to try to do my psychic guesses.
Yeah, she's pretty good. She's better than I am.
If I spent more time.
What?
If I spent more time remote viewing him. Sorry, I'm off screen.
It's all right. Yeah. This is cool.
Mm-hmm.
This is cool.
Yeah, you gave us so much content.
I know. I'm glad you popped on for the Q&A.
Mm-hmm.
How did you find us, by the way? Did you find us recently?
No one finds
Curious.
us. See, God, it
I
was
know
a
no one
God
finds
thing.
us.
We don't have to do anything different than what we're already doing. We're still
Yeah.
going to talk to people.
I know. We haven't really marketed our business in
Ever.
like 6 years. We tried the first year.
When we did it, we didn't do it well. And then we got weirdos. No. We have fucking weirdos.
Yeah.
And then we became the enemy. That's where this goes. So like the idolization, you know, the BPD thing. The idolization. Oh my God, I love you so much. You're so awesome.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you do something wrong, like you say, don't wear a mask. Then you're the enemy and you're the grandma killer.
You just tell them that their political ideology makes them stupid and they're duped and they just turn on you.
It's so weird. Oh no, you're in Canada. That must have been even crazier.
Yeah, that must have been a rough time.
I don't know. Vancouver, yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Oh.
I felt my intuition telling me Law of One was bullshit. One of my friends tried evangelizing me. It's a funny word. And found your video. Instant fan. That's awesome.
Funny.
That's awesome. That's the first thing like that we've ever really done.
That's cool.
Our plan is to rip into a lot.
Some guy thought I was David's guest. The comment was like, "Oh, David, your guest was."
Your guest mentioned the AI hive mind. I find that very interesting.
Yes. Okay. So yes. Oh, there's so many things I could talk about here. Mm-hmm. But there's this guy I follow on, or I don't follow him anymore because I got annoyed with him. Alex Zek. I was following him on Instagram, and then I don't know. It just like he kept talking about like how 2020 wasn't real. I don't want to get flagged for medical misinformation.
She just did last week.
I know.
But he was in that whole pocket and he was making a documentary. But this was like 2023, right?
Yeah,
or
this
even
was just last year.
Yeah. So
yeah.
he's,
and I'm like,
he's
why
been
are you
on
still talking about it? What are you doing?
Yep.
But anyway, I still follow him on Twitter, which I didn't realize. So I saw something recently pop up and he was saying his whole spiritual like education has been the Law of One. And I was like,
yeah,
no wonder. That book is such trash.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
It's like literally it just lays out the dark hierarchy to me. Like that's it feels like it's like just here it is, guys. And if you're able to see through it, then like good for you, I guess. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But like I don't.
But you kind of have to, right? Like even you're saying like, oh yeah, I felt that it was bullshit, and like thanks for giving me words to it. Like like that. It has to be like that. I'm realizing more and more and more. You gotta kind of already be there.
Yeah.
And then we just go, yeah, fuck yeah, that's what we found out too. And you're like, okay, cool. So I'm not. I mean, everyone around me is gaslighting me, telling me the Law of One's fantastic, and I don't see what's in it. Like, thank goodness there are other people who see this bullshit.
And how is Jim not the cuck? Like, come on. Like I'm not even joking. Like what the fuck? What a weird thing.
Oh man, Jeremy, we talked about this later on one of our lives, but we did research later and we looked back into it and I was looking at llresearch.com. Jim is still channeling to this day. To this day, they have meetups and he's channeling the same kind of councils and
there's way more beings.
It's mind-boggling.
Mm-hmm. And it's just a bunch of like insecure people asking questions. And then like the channel gets passed. Like all sorts of people are trans-channeling these different energies.
Uh-huh.
Oh. I don't like it.
Yeah. Yeah, they might as well be wearing robes.
Wait,
candlelight.
What did Jeremy say up there? Because it's not showing down.
It'll.
Well, it's taking too long.
Come on. I know it shows quicker on screen than it shows in the chat. Funny enough.
Yeah, but Ben's middle finger didn't even pop up. I think.
Well, I think that got filtered out. I don't think our chat plugin filtered it out, but I think YouTube filtered it out. That's why we saw it.
So did YouTube just filter out?
I don't know. Maybe. Law of One is literally the ideological basis of so many new age cults. It's crazy. I know.
Yes.
I know.
Yes.
Yeah. That's great. You see that.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah. We want to talk about Steiner too, because he's up there. And then we'll have to talk about Madame Blavatsky and the UN. And like, there's this whole.
Love quoting Steiner.
Yeah.
And he is the heebiest jeebiest. But see, Jeremy, the reason that you're able to see through the Law of One is because of all those women you've been with.
That's probably true.
I know, because it's the same red flags.
Yeah. Yeah, when we were talking about 2020, because 2020 sent out big flags for us. I don't know if it did for you, but we were talking about it to so yeah.
Don't offend him. He just got here.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. We're still feeling each other out, learning more about each other. But what?
There's other people here too. But all our focus.
No, I know, but I mean, if they want to chime in, they can chime in too.
Okay.
But 2020 flagged for us big time. But it happened right after we had all of these experiences with my family member and other things, and like all of these. We left the spiritual community. We left Seattle. I shut down my Facebook. Like we posted all of these posts and got so much hate. And then right after that, 2020 happened, and it was like we were prepared for what it was like to, one, be very different than what everyone else was thinking and doing.
Yeah, people they got so scared.
They got so scared.
And we were like, oh.
We're like, wait, this doesn't make sense.
Yeah, we lost a bunch of clients.
Yeah. I remember being on the phone with this dude, and he's like, yeah, I'm packing up all my stuff with my family right now. We're going to go out to a cabin, and, I'm just afraid we're not going to get food, that they're going to shut down the grocery stores. And I was like, hey, man, starvation is 100% death rate. Like there's no shot that's gonna fly. And he was like, that's a good point. I was like, yeah, we're gonna be out. Like there's gonna be a way to get food. Like that, I can assure you there's a way. But it's just people's imaginations went, and they're like critical thinking shut down, and.
Oh my God.
But Miriam was having a conversation with someone. I think your barber. Not barber. I'll get a 2 on the back. Low taper fade, please. Stylist. I don't know. I cut my own hair. I don't even know the lingo. But Miriam was talking to.
Spot for you.
Yeah, I missed it. Well, it's because I use my beard trimmer instead of my trimmers. Yeah, because they're wireless. I like it a little better. I didn't want to plug in. I spent probably like 15 minutes just, and then I looked at the mirror, and I had like a little mohawk, all these little strips. I was like, why isn't this working? I was clearing it out, bashed it on the side of the tub. Anyway, that's not the point. But you were talking with your stylist, and she was seeing the same things, and you were like, were you ever in a relationship with a narcissist? She's like, yep. And you were like, I think that's it. Like, I think that's why you spot it. Do you remember that?
Wait, why? No. First, it was a massage.
Exactly.
It was a massage with a girl I went to high school with. We came back here to Massachusetts.
Yeah, see?
And then
just like I said, your barber.
Yes, my barber. And she was telling me all about her marriage / divorce / and then new relationship and the kids and all this whole thing. And then she was saying we were talking about 2020, and then she's like, oh yeah, she's like, I didn't do any of it.
Yeah.
Like I didn't buy into any of it. And then I was like, was he a narcissist? Your ex-husband? Is that why you left him? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, oh yeah, that's why you knew about 2020.
Yeah. Yeah. Because they're the same dynamics.
It's the same. Same thing.
Yeah. 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 So back to your earlier comment, I really think that's why we get led into those things.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's weird, like that we would get led into crappy experiences. But if you can have this short, condensed experience that's really quick burn. I mean, relationships, I think, are the best learning tool because they're so quick burn. When they end hard. And if you can condense down like what would be an education about all of these narcissistic manipulative dynamics that you're going to see everywhere for the rest of your life into this into a short 6-month period. And then you come out with clear eyes for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
It's like, that's worth it. But it takes an external intelligence to make that calculation and go, this is going to suck, but it's going to be worth it.
It's the shortest path.
Yep. It's the shortest, most efficient, quickest.
Jeremy, you got quiet. Did you get duped by 2020?
That's all right.
It's okay. I don't think you did, but it's okay.
It's crazy times.
I know. It mattered like who you were around.
Yeah.
It was like
big time.
Very hive mind, like influential, peer pressure, bullying.
Yeah. High pressure. And it mattered the circumstances
social pressure.
too. Because we were entrepreneurs, so we also didn't have any pressure. Other than just losing our livelihood from people canceling us. But other than that, it was fine.
And it was.
Yeah. I often did wonder what would have happened if I had a 9-to-5 and was more so like plugged in. I don't know.
Well, they do that crazy shit. When I worked at the grocery store, let's just call... I don't want to censor myself. It's so hard. When I worked at the grocery store, there was a pharmacy there. And the pharmacy, if you hit a certain amount of flu, you would get awards for the store. So I was incentivized, and I thought we won. We won a TV for the break room by fluing as many people as possible.
Yeah. That's funny.
Okay.
He said I had to take a call, so my stream is delayed. I was hardcore anti-vax and mask.
Okay.
Also entrepreneurship.
Okay.
That's cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
See. Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Good. My feet's good. I got nervous there. I was like,
yeah.
Jeremy, where'd you go? my BPD showing. You left.
Don't you love us?
Yeah.
I thought you loved us, Jeremy. Who is that call with?
Yeah. Who are you talking to?
We need to know.
Awesome.
Also an entrepreneur, but didn't lose clients because I stood my ground, but was respectful of their choice. Yeah. Yeah, it was a wild time.
I was not respectful of anyone's choice.
That's true to some degree, but
I said, there's no way you checked in with God and that's what you got back. You need to recheck your check, because that shit, there's no fucking way.
Yeah.
I don't believe you.
Miriam has all these videos from like March 2020.
Yeah.
Where she's going off. She's sitting in the car. We just got to Austin, Texas. And she's sitting in the car like, everyone's losing their fucking minds over this thing. What are you doing?
I was like, the solution is to wash your hands?
She was like, you're not going to die? What the
Fill out
Lord
on the timeline. Are you dead?
Yeah.
No. So fuck it.
Yeah.
No. Don't you have psychic access? Can't you feel that you're going to live a long life? What the fuck are you worrying about? Yeah. I was like, run this back. Play this video back. I was so intense.
Yeah.
As I am.
Yeah.
And I have played it back. It's a little cringe.
Yeah. And you know what's wild to me? It's like now our neighbor, she's going to, she's in pharma. She's going to school for more, getting her master's and all the things.
Sure
and
did.
well, yeah, she just graduated, but she had to write a paper in one of her, it was like a medical ethics class.
Yeah.
And it was like examining the ethics of 2020. And she's like, hey, do you guys know anything about it? We're like, let's give you some things. We're like, did you look at the Yale study on the psychological manipulation that was taking place at the very beginning? She's like, oh, no, yeah, I'll look that up. She's Colombian. But it's interesting, like people are looking back of like, yeah, maybe that wasn't the best. And there's that kind of hindsight, but it's, I mean, obviously, if you were saying that during it, people are like, no, you're crazy. This is fine. This is awesome. It's for our benefit. We're all in this together.
Guys, you know what I think is a weird, sick fucking thing? It feels very subtle, and it might not be real, and I might be reading into it too much. But remember how 2020 was all about killing the grandmas? That was like a thing. Like, you're going to kill your grandma. Now McDonald's has a Grandma McFlurry.
And what are you saying? That there's actual grandmas inside of it?
I wasn't going that extreme. No. I mean, it makes sense why you would think that I would think that, because I do think there's humans in the burgers. Allegedly.
That's funny.
Yeah. But no, it's like weird. Like, it's weird. Why is it like, I don't know, something about it just like is this like a joke? Like, why are we like honoring the grandma now? Or like, I don't know, why is there something called grandma? I just don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't like it. Is it like the granny core like fad, like crocheting, and is it that kind of homage?
I don't know.
It's just weird. Oh, and then I also in 2020 I was like, your grandma's probably already fucking dead anyway. Like,
I was like, that's true. Both sides.
yeah,
Both sides.
Same. Oh, that was wild times for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just had the Moloch
Donalds.
You did? The butterscotch. Moloch Donalds. That's awesome. That's good. I feel like it would be good, especially if you like butterscotch.
Yeah, probably. I used to like the butterscotch dipped cones at Dairy Queen.
Oh.
I used to like that. But the cherry was also
I know,
good
I was
too.
going to say, you like the cherry. He likes a red dye 40.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. I loved me some red dye 40.
Man.
All right. I think that's about it.
Did we cover everything?
Yeah. I think so. I don't see anything else floating.
No, nothing else on the
No.
I feel like Ben should have something to say.
That's probably true. I think you just offended him so hard.
So hard.
So hard. Offended him so hard.
He's just going to send another middle finger. Hey, are you Ben from the Ben Weston show? Are you vigorously masturbating to Reddit? It's like quite the way to.
Jeremy's like, what the fuck are these inside jokes?
People. I know, I feel like.
Is this spiritual education?
I know. I was telling David one time, I was like, I feel like we're just like spiritual atheists. I don't know. It's just kind of the vibe, because I can't do mainstream spirituality and like all the rules and all the things.
Yeah.
It's like, I know I'm good. I know I'm connected. I can be vulgar. I can say whatever the fuck I need to say. It's like part of it. I'm like literally being myself. And it's nice. It feels like actually liberating.
Yeah, we have the filter of atheist comedians, but we're also spiritual teachers.
Yeah. I know. I like it.
Yeah. I like, it's taken a while for us to get here. We both started pretty insecure, docile, and spiritual.
Yeah.
But I'm glad we're here, because now we can shit on people like Carla and Jim and Don, who definitely feels like a CIA agent.
Oh, 100%.
We've talked about this, and not in that video, but that's a weird vibe, even in the pictures.
Mm-hmm.
But now we can shit on all that stuff, and we don't feel so bad about it.
I know.
Because we don't believe we're all one.
Yeah.
But Dawn is me,
God.
so what I see in Dawn is maybe I'm a CIA agent. And I don't even know it, because I'm traumatized, wounded.
I know. There was something, back in the day, we did a podcast. Was it 2020 as well? We were in Colorado. We did that podcast, and it was a big deal at the time to say that manifestation
2019
was black magic.
Mm-hmm.
No, it was 2020.
Really?
Yeah, we were in the car.
Mm-hmm.
In Colorado, but we moved to Colorado in 2020 for that short stint. For the lockdowns.
Oh, were we in Colorado?
Yeah, and
That's
then there were all
interesting.
these signs on the road that were like emergency vehicles only, like no travel. And we were driving, and it was kind of like eerie. There was no one else on the road. We went to Red Rocks, and it was like closed down. And then you just walk around the tape.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what? We're outside. What is going on? And we got notifications on our phone saying we can only spend an hour outside of exercise.
That was weird.
It's like, fuck. Kim Jong-un.
See, I thought we were in like Lago Vista.
No. We were at a park that we would go to a lot in Colorado. We parked there.
It's funny. I thought we were on the beach. Or on like, that's like sandy. We pulled off.
Maybe it's some Mandela effect.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, we just lived different timelines, and we're finally meeting up here.
But I remember
in this moment.
I remember it was
good to meet you. I'm David.
I remember it was a big deal to even utter the words black magic.
Oh yeah.
So I feel like we've come a long way for sure.
Yeah. So, I've been thinking like a lot recently that like maybe manifestation's not as great. Like maybe, it kind of seems pretty similar. Like I was looking up Satanism the other day, and it seems kind of pretty maybe possibly like a little bit related to black magic. Like what do you think about that, my love? What do you agree? Hopefully, maybe. Yeah, it's like real awkward. Thanks, Jerry. Have a good night. Glad to meet you guys. This was fun. I'll be back. I am Rob.
Oh my god, you're funny. That's not easy to convey humor via text.
That's true. That's true.
You consistently nailed it.
Yeah, you're a good time, Jeremy. Thanks for hanging out.
Thank you.
We'll see you later. I am Raw. This is good. All right, y'all. Yeah. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, guys.
This was very fun. We will see you next time back here on YouTube, and we'll notify y'all in the Second Paradigm community.
Yep. See you there.
Adios.
Bye.
Bye. Fade to black.